Well, Superior is holding the first of several town halls tonight, sharing information and answering questions about the city's effort to transition to city-owned utility systems. Now, dozens of people attended the meeting at the public library tonight. As we've reported in the past, SWLNP is a private company that has served the city of Superior for more than 100 years. Superior Mayor Jim Payne says residents claim they're frustrated by the overcharging by SWLNP and says they have no control over their utility bills increasing. Well, last year, the city expressed an interest in taking over public utilities, as it is the only city in Wisconsin with a privately owned utility provider. However, SWLNP released its findings from a feasibility study earlier this year, alleging that it would cost the city more than $300 million to acquire them and to have Superior run their own utilities. Well, tonight, residents are asking city leaders directly about those cost savings.
There's an average of $100 per household savings. I don't want to throw away what we have over to save $8 a month. I think it's too expensive to do that.
I think the reason that they declined to come is because their arguments don't really stand up to scrutiny. We have applied scrutiny to this question for years now.
The city is encouraging all of their residents to show up and ask questions of both city leaders and SWLNP. There are several more scheduled town halls on this topic. The next one is on August 11th. Well, meantime, SWLNP declined to participate tonight, saying the best way to address the issue is through an established process that allows for a careful review of customer impacts and infrastructure considerations. In a letter to the city, SWLNP President Rob Sandstrom said, in part, we believe topics of this importance are best addressed through open dialogue and opportunity to speak with our customers and community members one by one.